Welcome to Anno 1800. So I've been playing this sandbox game after I finally managed to finish the campaign. Sadly, Anno 1800 doesn't really make for a very good game to record while playing because there is so much time that you have to spend just waiting for things. But I thought that I'd give you guys a tour of my little empire here. So first of all, we can take a look at the diplomacy. Since I wanted to just have a nice little friendly building scenario, I chose Bente Jorgensen as the only AI, but I did keep both of the pirates. But as you can see, I'm in a non-aggression pact with both of them, and I have quite good relationships with them as well. Probably should
because
give
everyone knows pirates like doubloons.
Anne some doubloons. She doesn't seem to be susceptible to any flattery. Oh, I have an expedition that has returned. Now, Jean Lafortune. Okay, I can't do anything as long as I have this captain wanting to talk to me.
A great moment for all of us.
So what do we have here?
An explosion in one of your factories.
The first thing that happens is something that rarely happens, explosions. Brasserie patron Martens. He doesn't look too bad, although he affects pubs, so... Lovely Man's grinding machine. Okay-ish. And Vice Admiral Adams. I have plenty of these Vice Admirals and Captains and whatnot that gives 45 naval power and 20 navigation. They're quite useful. This guy, Captain Moby, Old Dog of the Sea, he is extremely good. 50 hunting, 30 navigation, 10 naval power, and the trade zoologist. I was very, very happy when I got him. And I got him from a random event during an expedition. Like, he wasn't an expedition reward in itself, but I just managed to fulfill one of those en route event things. So I'm quite happy with him. Now, let's drag these guys over. I have Archbishop Archibald. What an excellent name. I actually haven't seen that it's an Archbishop. 40 faith, that's also quite useful. Haven't needed the trait hypnotist yet. I'm not sure what that does, but and here we have Vice Admiral Adams. I think I have at least two of him, and I have Vice Admiral Romanov and Vice Almirante Paulista, and they all do the same thing basically. So telemobiloscope, it's nice for the hunting. Can't fill that up. Okay, well, now let's try to give some money to Jean.
Every little bit could make a difference for us.
Bon. So, this is my capital, the Throne of the Wiv. All of my islands have names after the wyverns, of course. So I have the basic setup of farmers down here, and then I have a small portion of the city reserved for the workers. And here I have, as you can see, I have blueprints here. I found a very nice layout that fit, almost didn't fit, but it actually fit here. So I have artisans in the lower part here, and I have engineers in the upper part. And I also have the public mooring here. I'm making a healthy amount of money from this mooring, but it does help that I have both a travel agent, which gives plus 20 attractiveness, but plus 7% increased visits, and of course Jafan, the cruise impresario, which gives an additional 10% increased visits. The 50% maintenance cost? I mean... It's okay, but
Same old holiday gang as last time.
200 less. I'm a bit underwhelming, that bonus. Now, I am playing with all of the DLCs that have come out so far. But first of all, I have the zoo. Gives me 748 attractiveness. But it also, with one of the DLCs, I get these music pavilions. So in here I have the sheet music from Anno 2070. Gives an additional 40 attractiveness. And it does also give 30% bonus to cultural items that belong to ocean predators, abyssal depths, Bronze Age, Atlantean and Sargasso Sea. So it's useful in both the zoo and in the museum. It's a quite nice song, actually. In the zoo itself, I have a fair amount of animals, but I haven't managed to complete any of the biomes yet. The abyssal depths is, of course, one of my targets. As far as I know, you can get a kraken, which would be the legendary part of this exhibition. But the only legendary animal I have is this Norfolk Kaka, which also was one of these random rewards that I got during an expedition. It wasn't an actual expedition reward, but something I picked up along the way. So the zoo, I'm quite happy with that. Then we have the museum down here. Doesn't give me that much attractiveness. I haven't really focused on the museum. I have the Anno 1800 sheet music here. It's the song of the century. In the museum, I do have an Apatosaurus and just some random things. I have 2 diamonds because why not? It's plus 40 attractiveness, and until I get better items, I see no reason why I shouldn't have it here. I really should try to complete more of these exhibitions, but I only have 4 items. I'm not sure where I have this Pirojakarvik Inuksuk thing. Could be that I actually have it in the harbor here. Let's try building another exhibition and see. I do have several other things that I could put in here, actually. I should put these things in here. There's a train chewing along.
Ship constructed.
Shroud of the Great King and the Art of Medicine. That brings me to 510, so this is an attractive capital. 2,142 without any festivities. I'm quite pleased with having more than 2,000 culture in my city. But then we have the DLC Botanica, where I have this Botanical Garden. Also with the sheet music from Anno 2070. It doesn't really do anything here, but I haven't found any other. I have these 3 sheet musics, and it gives 40 attractiveness, so why not put it here? So in the Botanical Garden, I have 6 legendary items. I have the Hades Asphodel, the Tower of Jewels, the Titan Arum, and I do have the elusive Fernflower. And then I have Holy Moly, which, if you've been transformed into a pig, this herb will help return you to your human form. Somehow, I don't think that this is a real-life plant, but I also have another Hades Asphodel. I might replace these later on, the duplicates, or put them in other islands. But for now, I'm just content having this island as the attractive one. I do have some pollution here. Some from the oil refinery, some from the motor assembly line, and some from the furnaces. But minus 50 isn't really that bad. I could move them off, because I do have the ability to build the commuter piers now. but they are very expensive. 1,000 maintenance cost for each of them. But that gives you the ability to share the workforce from various islands as long as you build the commuter piers. So what I'm currently working on here is getting all of these blueprints filled in. The way I do that is upgrade buildings in this section, remove the blueprints, and move the buildings one by one, which is annoying. And then I move the buildings from the farmer district to the worker district and upgrade them, and then I just build new farmer houses here. But it is less annoying to have to wait for these buildings to upgrade. And one of the benefits of artisans and above is that they do not require marketplaces or pubs. So they have different tastes. They require variety theaters, universities. The artisans require churches, but the engineers, they do not really care about religion, so they don't require churches at all. Instead, they do require electricity, which is something that the artisans do not require. I have some glassworks here. But I do have an extensive amount of trade routes. I have no less than 17 trade routes going on in the old world. As you can see, I'm using naming schemes here. OW obviously is for old world. I have some new world trade routes, and I have a couple of trade routes going in the new world, from the new world to the old world. I probably should go to the new world and rebuild that oil refinery that went up into pieces. There we go. So I have a medium oil harbor here, and I have an oil tanker that goes between the new world and the old world to supply me with oil in the capital. I have not opened up the passage, which is one of the DLCs. Neither have I opened up the I think it's the Cove of Trelawney or something like that, which gives you a massive, massive place to build. But for now, I've concentrated on just trying to get up to the point where I can do this. So I can have investors now, but I've very consciously chosen not to build investors yet. So I'm going to downgrade this again.
The festival has ended.
The investors gives you the ability to build gas-fired power plants. And that's one of the things you get from the Arctic region, natural gas, that you can power up these gas-fired power plants with. They are more efficient than the regular power plants. You also get the ability to build the World Fair. That is on the list of projects that I'm planning to do. And then the newest DLC.
I try to like people a little more every day.
Thank you, Benta. The newest DLC gives you the ability to build a palace. As you can see, this thing is rather expensive to build. Not that I have any monetary issues with 5.2 million in my account, but 1 million, that's a rather steep cost. It's not that big, but this is a modular design. Kind of like the palace that you could build in Anno 1701, I think.
We will be so much stronger together.
No, I don't want to ally. That would only put me in war with the pirates, which would be a unmitigated disaster since I only have 200 influence left. Most of that is actually an expansion. Okay, well, so the way that I've built so that you can have these train tracks going to the power plants. I used to have the oil harbor over here, but then I realized that that is a very bad position for it because I need oil coming in from the new world, and having them go around there? Nah. I move the old oil harbor down here. I have this large pier area here where I can build more storage depots and oil stores if I so desire. Have a steam shipyard. This, of course, here is the large oil harbor. I don't have enough oil in stock. I think that I have built another oil tanker. Yes, I have.
Tanker ready.
That is a very soothing voice. I probably should get in some more oil from the Bliv estates. I think I have 3 oil springs ready here. But one of the things that I have done here is that I have actually built some trade unions. I have a trade union here with a refiner that gives plus 20% productivity on these 4 oil wells. That gives me 480 instead of 400, because you get 100% per oil well that you build. So for a green character, I would say that the refiner is pretty useful. I also have a trade union here, which is affecting the oil power plant. This is a leading electrical engineer. Minus 90% chance of fire is very nice, but the occasionally production of extra oil is also highly useful. Randomly just give some oil to the power plant. In this area, as you can see, I am... this is where I'm manufacturing the canned food and the goulash that is prepared for the canneries. I also have the clockmakers here. Apparently they require more gold. I might have forgotten to build that, actually. Let's see here. I know I have a goldsmith on the island. I guess that probably means that I am out of... No, I have plenty of gold ore. I guess I need... Oh, that's why. This one is affected by electricity, so it has higher productivity. Okay, well, I need to build another goldsmith then. 750 maintenance. It should be fine. I'm also manufacturing motor assembly lines. These are horribly expensive in terms of maintenance. 1800 coins, and I do think, yep, I do have the 15% additional income thing from the newspaper. That is the consumption tax you can see there. But you can also see the maintenance I'm paying, 66,915. So these assembly lines I plan to actually shut down when I have enough engines, because I'm not going to build a huge amount of these ships. I'm using the clippers for now. I have many clippers. Sure if I can see the amount of ships I have in here. Trade routes. No, this is just a history of my trade. But each of these routes, in general, a few of them have only 1 ship. But most of them have 2. So this one probably should...
The non-aggression pact has ended.
Not that one. This one probably needs yet another ship. Maybe even 2 more ships. But I think that on the New World to the Old World trade routes, I'm going to use the cargo ships, because they are not affected by wind speeds. So they have a constant speed. That constant speed is 11.1 knots, as opposed to 5.9 to 21.2 knots. I mean, yes, if you get favorable winds, this one is superior to the cargo ship, but the cargo ship is a constant speed, so... Now, when this one now needs to go down southwards again, when the wind direction is north, or I guess northeast, it's going to be much
Open your
slower.
horizons.
I don't know what the current speed is, but it's not ideal. The cargo ship would outpace this ship currently. As for my other islands, to feed this island, I have spent a great deal of time feeding other islands. So Bliv Estates was the first major other island I built with 6,000 residents. On this island I produce all of the vulgar things. The vulgarity here is at minus 143. So this is where you get the soap and the sausages. And also I have the beer and bread production for both the estates themselves and for the capital, of course. Next up we have Fliv Estates. These farms are for self-production, and I have a trade union here with quality potato sprouts so that I can also have self-production of potatoes and thus the schnapps for the city here, or the town. I have pollution here because I'm producing steel in these furnaces, but it isn't horrible. The vulgarity is of course for the self-production that I need on the island for sausages and soap for the workers who live on this island. I also produce some brass on this island that is being transported to the capital. Now, one of the reasons why having expansion above 300 is that you get 200 of each of the worker classes for free on each island, which gives me the option to, for instance, have this island here, which is the Mines of Wiv. Now I only have one mine on this island, and that's an iron mine. But I will probably also add a zinc and a copper deposit here, and transport those up to the Fliv Estates to get more brass smelteries underway when I need that. We have the Retreat of Kniv. Here I'm producing furs in these hunting cabins. Nobody lives here except for the workforce that is present. The 200 workers are being used for these coal and iron mines. There's one iron mine and 3 coal mines on this island. The Mines of Bliv is another one of these islands. I have 2 iron mines and 1 coal mine on this island. I haven't named this island yet, so it's called Vayagayak at the moment. I think I have 2 coal mines on this island.
It's a surprise inspection.
Yep. This one is the Mines of Kniv. Here I'm mining zinc. Being transported, of course, to the estates. Then you have the Niv Metalworks. I have some self-production on this island, but I have to import the grain from another island. So this island is responsible for smelting down steel and also producing steel beams. And I also have 2 regular weapon factories on this island. It's rather boring in terms of the layout of the island itself. But I found that this grid of 6, then 8, then 6, and then you can have the city centers here. And then you go back to 8, 6, and then 8, and then you can have city centers and pubs here. And then 8. I probably could have another one, but there's not room for it. So, and I'm not going to move it all the way up there, so I have plenty of workers here currently. I might have to extend this that direction if I want to build more here, because the workforce is at capacity, more or less. But upgrading each of these buildings are 10, so if I upgraded 30 of them, I would still be quite content, and that would give me 600 workers. So then we have the Pliv Estates. This is a farming village with a very extensive amount of farmers available. They produce the grain for Niv Metalworks so that I can have beer and bread for the workers on this island. I think I should be good on both accounts. Yes, I am. But I also mine some iron on this island.
I better watch what I say.
Yeah, he doesn't trust me. He keeps deteriorating no matter what I do. Then down here we have the mines of Niv. On this island I have 2 iron deposits, or 2 iron mines and 2 coal mines. And then we have the mines of Pliv, where I have 1 iron deposit and 3 coal deposits being mined. And these mines... Actually, yep, 3 and 1. These mines down here send their products to the Niv Metalworks, which in itself has some iron deposits. I think there's one of them that I haven't... No, I'm tapping all of them. So I don't know if I'm actually... I might have room for more of the furnaces here. But the thing... Why do I need so much iron? The thing is... With the population that I'm going to end up with in this section, I'm going to have 7 of these sewing machine factories, which is extensive. They do require a lot of sewing machines, these guys. So each of these require plenty of steel to produce these sewing machines. In addition to that, I also need steel in the motor assembly lines. There's one more thing where I require steel, but I don't remember which one. What was that? Maybe I've moved it off the island. I thought there was one final thing that required steel here. Yeah, the bicycle factories. So I'm going to need 2 of these as well. And these also require caoutchouc, or rubber as I prefer to call it. This is the old Spanish word for it. That is of course a luxury good. Should take a look at the newspaper.
Idiot is back.
No, I don't think so.
I thought you were the photographer.
Let's do that, and also
As you wish, it'll be changed
some
momentarily,
martial
of
law
course.
to reduce the
Perhaps.
riot chance.
Anything else? Then I'll send it out.
Yeah, they are not happy with me, but as you can see, I have...
Trying to put myself in your shoes.
Yeah, and you're failing. I have plenty of police stations because
You lost an
I
influence bonus.
do use propaganda when necessary, and while I do have enough money to sustain myself between 2 newspaper cycles, I really don't want those negatives. So if I get a positive newspaper, I usually don't use propaganda because I can go in the red for a while. But I do use the propaganda when I get red. I don't want unhappiness and so forth. So as you can see, I've also used stone roads. In case you were unaware of that, having stone roads inside of the city area isn't just cosmetically good. It also increases the range of the buildings. So if you have a building, I can do a quick demonstration of that actually. Like on this island, if I do this, you can see that out here it turns lighter green, which means that this pub gives less influence onto a house out here. But if I do this, now the entire thing is dark green. So it is actually beneficial to, especially in the cities that you have that require influence from... I mean, these aren't really that expensive. 20 maintenance and 20 maintenance, but when you get over to the... like the Variety Theatre, okay, it's just 100, but University is 400. Police stations, they're not really that expensive, neither are the fire stations. Not sure why I have very high fire chance here, because I have plenty of fire coverage here. Or fire station coverage. Yeah, power plant, yeah, that also extends. The power lines do get extended if you use stone roads compared to using dirt roads. As you can see, I have power plants or power lines all the way over here. If I were using dirt roads, they would probably stop somewhere like around here. The hospitals, they're not that expensive, which is good because you need them. Because when plague breaks out, it usually affects like 8 buildings at once. So, yeah, I've spent quite some time getting to the point where I am now, but I had very much fun. This game is just, it's beautiful and it's just so amazingly fun. The New World. We have Costa del Viv, which is the primary settlement. This is the only settlement where I have Obrero.
Never have believed this.
I should, because they require sewing machines. So I need to get sewing machines, and I also need to get beer down to Costa del Viv. But I'll get around to that. I'm a bit miffed about the fact that you can't produce metal except for gold in the New World. It would be very useful to mine iron and coal here and get it back to the Old World, because you require so much of it. It's almost insane how much you need of iron and coal. I mean, you can use the trade unions, and certain characters will increase efficiency, but you'd have to get those characters, so it's a bit overwhelming, the amount of iron, or rather the amount of steel that you require. I haven't beautified this place yet, so... which reminds me that I should actually upgrade that road. This place will be beautified with some fencings and some various things in the town. I have an extensive amount of sugar plantation or sugar cane plantations here, and as you can see, I have plenty of rum distilleries here with fire coverage. These things probably can blow up, and when they do, you want fire service nearby so that you don't get chain reactions. I probably should have a fire station near these oil refineries, since they have a tendency to blow up, apparently. I also have Port Obliv. This is where I produce cotton. Most of the things in the New World is very, very cheap in terms of maintenance. On Port Obliv, I only have jornaleros, so there isn't really that much of an infrastructure here. But I also produce corn here, because and beef. So I have corn plantations, I think. Do I produce the beef over here? Yes, I do. I produce the beef in the cattle farms here. Because the obreros, they want tortillas. which of course require corn and beef. Then I am working on the Caldera de Fliv. This is where I am producing the... I'll just say rubber. I have no idea how to actually pronounce that, so... This is where I produce rubber. All of these sub-islands or smaller islands do require plantains and fish oil to make fried plantains. And I'm not sure if it's me or if others would agree with this, but somehow I feel that frying plantains in fish oil sounds rather disgusting. I mean, I like fish, and plantains, they're tasty, I believe. At least I like bananas, so I guess I would like plantains. But frying them in fish oil? I don't think so. One of the things that I'm doing with the farms is that I'm trying to fill out all the nooks possible so that I am as space efficient as possible in terms of my island coverage. You can see this as a pattern everywhere. Especially in the new world with all of these winding rivers or winding rivers that goes everywhere. It is not really that easy to follow any kind of pattern for these farms, because you have these very bizarre looking little, as I like to say, crooks and nannies, which you want to fill them up. And filling them up with the fields is it's a useful little thing. And when you have... Oh, this one actually has too few fields. Oh dear, that means I have to redo a whole bunch of these. I won't do that now, though. But as you can see, 128 for those. These ones, 144, so... You do require an extensive amount of space for the fields for the various plantations and farms. The plantains, 128. Corn, 168. But the alpacas for the poncho darners, that's a pattern that I use on all the islands with jornaleros. One of the things that they have added to the game, which I am very, very, very happy that they added, is the ability to do this. And then you can just copy the entire thing instead of having to copy one building or redo the thing every single time you need to have another of these setups. So I'm very, very happy that they did that. You can copy just a farm, but you can also copy a farm with the fields. Like this, for instance. I didn't mean to copy both of them. But if I just... There you go. So there I have copied one farm with its layout, so I could place it there if I wanted to. I have made sure that Bente couldn't get an island with sugarcane fertility, so I settled Castilla Kniv and Porto Pliv. However, the AI cheats. So she has Benteborg 2 here with rum distilleries, but I have noticed that she does not buy sugarcane. So she's producing rum out of nothing. And another thing that I've noticed that they cheat on is the fact that this plantation does not have 128 fields. Definitely not. It's the same with these rubber plantations. They definitely don't have the required number of fields, nor does this cotton plantation have the required number of fields. So, but I guess it's fine that the AI is allowed to cheat a little bit. I mean, hey. It's worse when the level 3 AIs cheat, which I expect they do. But that's one of the things that I've been curious about in terms of the requirements for iron if you want to have this kind of setup with this many buildings. I don't really know how you're going to get all of that steel. because the AI is going to settle islands, and if I had settled this many islands with one of the more aggressive AIs, I would not be at peace. And influence would be an issue, since I am at the point now where if I want to build a ship of the line, it would require 8 influence per ship of the line. And if I did have the heavy weaponry that is required to build the battlecruisers, that is 12 influence per ship. In addition to that, I would have to build defenses. And I think they are free currently because I haven't built any defenses. I don't need it because I'm friendly with even the pirates. So the influence investment currently is 0, but if I just build a few of these, I mean, I have plenty of resources on this island. Then you can see the cannon towers is 7 influence investment, and the mounted guns is 3 influence investment. So I would have to have that kind of defense on every harbor, especially the critical ones. Like Bliv Estates would definitely need to have a decent harbor defense, and so would both of the harbors of Throne of Wiv on both sides here, because otherwise the AI would be bad, very bad. I am at the level where I have enough money to start buying shares, especially when the acquisition is just 141,000. I don't know how it is for the capital.
I'd tell you something to keep you going.
Thank you. Your house, me house. Yeah, that's 500,000, nearly 500,000 for a share here. But then again, there's engineers here, and I would get a decent income from buying shares here. So that's something that I probably will do. Start buying shares in her islands just to get the additional income. But that's one thing with the difficult AIs. They would also buy shares in your islands, and while you would immediately get that money into your bank account, you don't really want the AIs to take over your islands. So that's why I just went with an easy AI. This is the first time, and I've played the game quite a bit. This is the first time I've ever gotten to the state where I can actually get investors. With the investors, if I upgrade this thing again, you could see I have 175 influence now. So one building gives me 3 influence. So if I upgrade this area here to investors for all of these buildings, which is the plan actually. I plan to have investors and then some engineers and some artisans, depending on how much I need for the workforce. You would get, or rather I will get a rather decent amount of influence from that. But I get 20 more influence when I get to 35,780 population globally. And after that, I expect it to be at 39,000 or even 40,000 for the next 20 influence. So at this point, I'm completely dependent upon getting investors to get enough influence. One of my ceasefires ended.
Builds a device to compute anything.
Let's have a non-aggression pact with Benta.
I mean, if you're absolutely sure.
Yes, yes. I have no desire to go to war with any of the AIs, including the pirates. As you can see, all the red dots here, the pirates have so many ships around the world that I want to stay on friendly terms with them. Finally, I don't think I have any active expeditions at the moment, and all of my ships are empty. Let's have a look at the items that I've managed to collect so far. These maps are from the DLC that adds the I think it's the Cove of Trelane. I don't remember the name, but you can meet a guy there called Old Nate, and these maps give you diving quests. You can use these maps to to dive, and you will find a treasure. But even not using them, because I don't have any diving belts, because I haven't gone there yet, so I don't have the option. So if you use the map, you have 1 hour to complete it, and then you fail the quest. So, but they do give 40 navigation if you put them on a ship.
Attention for the Admiral.
And since we're on that, let's actually go into an expedition.
Good captains respect the sea.
We can assign the HMS Emperor with,
On course.
because I think since I need medicine on this one, I want Schnapps to be the rations. That was the word I was looking for. So these give me 40 navigation. Then of course you have Captain Moby, the old dog of the sea, which I've already explained. He's definitely a legendary character. We'll put him on this expedition because hunting is almost certain to happen. I have 2 of Strong Arm's disappearing gun. Mr. Strong Arm's gun is as potent as it sounds, sneakily disappearing from view when not in use. I like that description. 50 naval power. The same with the Mullivan's multi-shot mortar. It's also 50 naval power. We'll put one of these disappearing guns on because naval power is highly likely to be one of the traits we're going to need on this expedition. Then I got Deke's indispensable dockyard crate, which is a 50 crafting expedition bonus. It also gives something in if I put it in the dockyard, but I can't see that here. Brasserie Patron Mertens. He's not good for an expedition. 25 diplomacy and 50 navigation is really that good, but it does something with the buildings. Jafan,
Sherry atop our beautiful
go away.
mustn't.
I'm already using one of Jafan in the Harbour Master's office for the tourist dock, but he's decent for an expedition as well with the 40 navigation. The Archbishop Archibald, 40 faith. He's actually the highest faith-giving item, or, well, he is an item, but person that I have. Miss Rodriguez, 40 crafting. That's also very decent, especially when combined with 20 hunting. Medal-winning producer, 40 crafting, 20 medicine. Decent enough. Michaela, the mining engineer, 40 crafting, 20 force. Lovely Man's grinding machine doesn't give anything for an expedition, but I probably will sell that because I don't think I'm going to use that. Chief Superintendent Clifford. He's very good for force, which force isn't always that easy to find a good item for. Chantal the Charcutière. Meh. Chef Michel, also a bit meh. Dario, the mechanical engineer, 45 crafting, that's decent. But he will take up that kind of slot because he can't be put in a ship slot or ship socket. Captain Khadija, the same with the Vice Admirals. Captain Khadija gives navigation, force, and naval power, while the Vice Admirals give naval power and navigation. So she's useful for any expedition that requires navigation and force, while these are useful for this type of expedition. So we'll put Vice Admiral Adams on this ship, since we need naval power.
Game saved.
Then I have a controllable pitch propeller. This doesn't do anything on this specific ship. I guess it gives the navigation, but I can't equip it in a ship socket. The telemobiloscope, is a very good item. It gives navigation and hunting. I'm not sure if I want this one. I probably want this one. The white flag. The white flag is an interesting one because most of those things or items that make your ships unattackable and then they can't attack back are perishable. You use them and then they stop working. The white flag, on the other hand, is permanent. So if you put it on a ship, that ship cannot be attacked, period. So it's a very interesting and useful item. I have a railway repair crane and a ship tool trolley, a grape shop grape shot cast mortar. I might probably sell that one. I have a couple of black flags. Everyone thinks you're a pirate. 24s. I'm keeping these because of the 24s, actually. Flamethrower, probably will sell that as well. Lady Lou, the redeemed pirate, 45 medicine and the trait pirate. She's very useful, and she is also equipable down there, so...
Think of it as hard evidence of your character.
No. Plus 60% chance of illness? No, I don't think so, thank you.
You broke the key off in the lock.
These gardens is a new thing that came with Botanica. You can decorate your cultural buildings with them. Or you can just build them anywhere. I have a few of these blue people. The ones with traits, those are generally the most useful characters. Like this one is a zoologist, this one is a pirate. The veteran whaler. 30 hunting is very decent. I'll put him on this expedition. And that means the expedition is ready to go. But then I have a diver, I have a zoologist, and I have a pirate on this expedition. So... And I have a total, I have 65 medicine, is likely. The ship itself gives 50 naval power, I believe. I think... Where do I see that? Yeah. Ship of the line gives 50 naval power, whereas if I had sent one of those... this one gives 70 naval power. And has more slots as well, so I'm going to build a battlecruiser just for expeditions, actually. Let's go back to the expedition.
We can hope for fair winds, nothing more.
Where were I? I was... Yeah, so 65 medicine. So 50 plus 45, I have 145 naval, 155 naval power. That should carry us through the most of the things. Navigation, this doesn't really need navigation. I have 60 navigation, but I have noticed that expeditions don't always use these three. So occasionally this one might run into something that requires faith, which is annoying when it happens, but it does happen. You learn to live with it.
Your city has grown uglier.
Hunting, I'm ending up at 80. So this is a... Yeah. With a morale of 88% on a level 3 difficulty expedition. That is a very, very high morale. I would send off a ship on a level 3 expedition with 60 or 65% or more. Usually it's fine. As for the rest of my characters, I have a very senior lecturer. I'm also using one of these in the town hall. She has the trait archaeologist, so she's very useful to send on any archaeological expedition. A travel agent, I probably will sell her. Arborist, probably will sell her as well. Depends on what she gives in terms of bonuses if I put her in a town hall or trade union, depending on what building she needs to be put in. Naval architect, veterinary antibiotics, 25 medicine. It's not that good since you need rations and it's only 5 more than a stack of schnapps. I'm keeping these quality hop seeds so that I can have beer production locally on an island without having to depend on even more trade vessels. Latin style sails, 30 navigations. Award-winning brewer. He's very meh. Pilot. He's a good item in the beginning of the game, before you get the epic and the legendary ones, but at this point he's not really that good anymore. The exporter of goods. She's good to have in a ship that does trading with the AI, but I don't have any trade routes that does trading with the AI, so... Ship piston engine. I think this is a use item. It doesn't disappear after you've used it, but it has a cooldown time. But it has 30 navigation and it is equipable in steamships versus these sails that are equipable in sailing ships. Then the high-powered scope is okay for hunting. And I have these royal letters of immunity, and I keep 4 of these around because 40 diplomacy is... it's very decent. I've kept these few green items around because 20 hunting, 20 diplomacy, and the trade zoologist, 20 faith, 25 medicine, and this one, I probably can sell this now, but it was useful to get a little bit of hunting very early on. Let's send this expedition off. And I could send off more expeditions because I have plenty of items and people, but not now. So in terms of usefulness of the items in town halls and so forth, some of them are highly useful. Like I built a town hall here, and I have the Millicent's Manifesto of the Suffragette, plus 18 happiness and plus 15 workforce and minus 30% chance of riots. That is a very, very good item. It wasn't even a question for me. I should say though that the area that the town hall is placed at is not ideal because I want to replace that with the members club for the investors. But I probably will have the town hall maybe where the variety theatre is because the investors do not really need a variety theatre. Arek Lisowski, the architect. 10% more income per house. Yes, please, especially when this is the highest echelon I have of income in the city. Also plus 2 attractiveness to the city itself. That's nothing to be overly enthusiastic about, but 10% income? Yes, thank you. And then the very senior lecturer, plus 50% workforce. I might take her out if I need 2 archaeologist expeditions, because if I do take her out, it's not really an issue. I have 1,262 engineers currently. Taking her out takes me down to 986, but that's fine. I've actually shown the other ones, so that's fine. Here we go. This is a perfectly fine newspaper. I'll just publish it. That puts me at minus 8,000, but I have 5.5 million, so it's fine. And it's soon time to shut these motor assembly lines down, which will be 3,600 maintenance. I don't know how many motors I do have currently. 170-60 motors, so I'm more than halfway there to fill up the storages. I probably also will move off these lumberjack huts eventually. Put them on these tiny islands that I'm only using for mining. They have a requirement of 5 farmers, so you can have plenty of them on an island. That doesn't really do anything else except produce metals. But yeah, I think we should end the episode here. Where's that train? I heard the train. Okay, that's a bizarre bug. You can hear the train, but there was no train there. It's definitely a train sound here. I would like to continue this series, like a spotlight building series. I didn't really get to finish the one that I actually intended to do the last time, so expect more episodes of these spotlight things. But if there is anything particular you want to see, or you have questions or anything like that, please do feel free to ask in the comments, and I will do my very best to try to showcase what you guys want me to showcase. So I will continue building my cities and have spent hours upon building iron mines. I actually had to spend several hours getting the iron mines and logistics with ships and everything with the
Look busy,
furnaces
people.
and so forth running. That took me quite some time, which is why I don't feel that Anno 1800 is a good game to record as a regular Let's Play series, because there is so much waiting and so much thinking going on, where I would have to either pause the recording or you would be sitting just looking at this while I was calculating things. So I hope that you enjoyed this Spotlight episode. I hope that you want more of them, because I would be very happy to provide them. But for now, thank you so very much for joining me, and I will see you all in maybe the next episode of this, or in another episode of something else.